Since my last review was Sonic the Hedgehog 4, I thought it would only be appropriate to review the other Sonic the Hedgehog 4. That's right, you heard correctly. The other Sonic the Hedgehog 4. We're diving headfirst into the realm of exploitation and ROM hacks, so get ready because we're going balls deep into this river of feces.
This version of Sonic 4 was programmed by Twin Eagles Group, a Peruvian developer who mostly coded for the Commodore 64. They became infamous for creating ROM hacks for the Super Nintendo, the most famous ROM hack being of Speedy Gonzales, Los Gatos Bandidos, which replaced the title character with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, I remember when I found out about this game. I was 11 years old and I was searching the internet for porn and Sonic fan art. I was a weird kid growing up.
I was very intrigued by this, but I quickly found out that it was a ROM hack. I even saw cartridges of it being sold on all the online auction sites. It was something that seemed to be a hot commodity. Literally, in fact. It was a pirated game. Twin Eagles Group were pretty much well known in the business of pirated games, and in fact, they're still around. Granted, their site looks like it never went past the year 2000 in design, so who knows if they're still in operation.
In fact, a lot of their games were ROM hacks based on hit movies at the time, like Flubber and Men in Black, but they were still technically exploitation games.
I understand the point of exploitation movies and games. You're giving people in your area a product that they couldn't normally afford or acquire and giving it to them at a cheap price. But with those cheap prices, forsakes the quality of the product. Just like games infamous for their poor quality, like Action 52 and the company known as Data Design Software, who are the kings of shovelware for the Wii.
And this game is obviously no exception.
Your typical ROM hack shows at least some effort on the programmer's end, but this is just lazy all around. The only things they did was replace a few sprites, swapping out Speedy Gonzales for Sonic, and the captured mice for Mario, and the cheese slices for Rings. They also darkened the color palette as well, to the point where they messed up the background so much that it's blood red.
Apparently this game knows that it's so bad that it's trying to end its own world.
Apocalypse jokes aside, this game is rather empty. There's practically no enemies, and your biggest threats are the instant kill spikes that line the bottom of jumps that you'll have to perilously make. And I'll get to that in a minute. This game is pretty generous with extra lives though. They give you 15 lives from the start. I know Bubsy gave you 9, but that was a cat reference.
You can tell when a developer has no confidence in their skills whatsoever when they give you this many lives at the beginning of a game.
The controls are clunky when inputting commands, but when stopping or changing commands, everything is slippery. Sometimes it doesn't even want to respond. Apparently this game is so deep in its Mexican heritage that it needs a siesta every few minutes. I've lost so many lives just because the controls decided to stop responding. Sonic will run, but will sometimes stop.
Saying that the level design is bad is like saying the Atlantic Ocean is damp.
I don't know what they're into down there in Peru, but someone had a raging hard-on for instant kill spikes. These things are everywhere. You're practically tripping over them like the tissue in a single guy's apartment. You just don't want to be near them. But if that wasn't bad enough, they have these tiny little itty-bitty platforms between these huge gaps of spikes, just to give you hope. But no, you're going to overshoot or undershoot the jump almost every single time. You have to jump perfectly, and you can't stop running, as losing all momentum can be deadly.
Now, I've played the original game, and I can tell you that it's vastly superior.
At least the original was colorful with good controls. This game, however, is a dark and twisted version from the depths of hell. But I haven't even gotten into how you're supposed to attack. You kick. Yeah, you kick. There is no spin attack, so if you're planning to jump to attack your enemies, you better have your thumb on the X button or you're going to be taking some damage. You'd think that they'd at least try to program the spin attack into the game. After all, Saw Marie had the spin attack, and that was a ROM hack as well.
But I guess sprite swapping was just way too much work for them.
Oh, that's right, they had to retool the levels too. How silly of me to forget that. Oh wait, I didn't forget, I just didn't care. You're given hit points too, so you don't need to worry about recollecting rings after you take a hit. But there's enemies that throw rocks at you and almost always hit you with perfect accuracy. If they weren't so lazy or incompetent or whatever term you'd like to use, they could have retooled the hit points to 0. One hit and you're dead would have been a lot nicer. Oh wait, there already was a failed Sonic game with those mechanics. Oh, look at this, a cage. And oh no, it's an instant kill. Gee, I didn't see that coming.
God forbid that they only have instant kill spikes I could thrust Sonic onto, and I've had enough of this shit. Speaking of shit, I've had enough of this game, too.